Hello there, folks. It's that time of the week again. Yes, we are heading back out into Lee Anderson's mad world. Before we do, however, I have some rather interesting news to bring you relating to the person seated beside Lee Anderson on your screen. This person is Adam Brooks. He is a GB News regular and owns the pub in which the first 3 episodes of Lee Anderson's Toxic World has been filmed. It is called the Three Colts, which is in Buckhurst Hill, a town in both Essex and the Greater London urban area. Adam Brooks is not a happy man. Well, to be honest, he never is. He's always moaning and whining and bitching about things he perceives as woke. So what's he unhappy about this time? Well, we'll have to head over to Twitter to find out what's bugging him. So here he is, Adam Brooks on Twitter. Adam Brooks, aka Essex PR. And he says, "So, after my pub appears on the TV, I get bad reviews suddenly ping up online. You people can attack me all you like, but don't put my staff's jobs at risk, you vile, vile people." A couple of things to note here. So after my pub appears on the TV, GB News. If I was to say I was on the TV, but I was actually on GB News, I'd feel like I was misleading people somewhat. When someone says, "Oh, I've been on the telly," they probably mean BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky Sports, Sky News maybe. GB News is not really covered by that "been on the telly" expression. And also, don't put my staff's jobs at risk. That sounds more like a threat from you, Adam, to be honest. Anyway, shall we be a bit naughty and go have a look at some of these reviews over on Google, yeah? Oh, why not? Here it is, the Three Colts. That's where it is if you fancy going for a visit. Just here, very close, I think, to Buckhurst Hill Tube Station. Yes, indeed. There's Buckhurst Hill Tube Station there. And there's the Three Colts there. So if you're ever in the area, especially on a Thursday, because that is when Lee Anderson is in attendance at the Three Colts. So I'm not sure Adam would let you in. Imagine not being allowed into a pub because Lee Anderson's there. How undignified. Right, so let's sort these reviews by newest. Already, we've run into a problem. Because this chap here writes a review that says, "Never been but looks great." And you're going to see that Adam Brooks gets hung up on false reviews. I mean, is this not a false review? The guy's never been and he's reviewing the place. Gotta be consistent, Adam. Nice staff, but GB News is on repeat in the corner, which kills the vibe a bit. Nice pub if you're white British, I imagine, though. Indeed. I was really looking forward to having a lunchtime here. The staff were rude and the food was terrible. Avoid. Okay. Threatened to sue me for defamation because I said the barkeep couldn't pour a half-decent pint. Bit of an overreaction, so won't be back. That's probably Marco Longhi who served you the pint, my friend. A very sterile pub with poor management. Staff seem miserable. The owner must be some sort of attention-seeking loser. Joy. Avoid like the plague. I booked a room here for my mother's 80th birthday. Small room, bad catering, and hip-hop music, which played really loudly. Which my mother hated. This is where Adam starts to respond. And he gets all pissy. So this is where it gets good. Found it to be bland with flat warm beer. Found the atmosphere to be strange with a weird vibe. And the response from the owner: "We have been made aware by Adam that there is an online movement to hurt the reputation of the pub. Fake and malicious reviews are an offence. You are on notice for defamation." Oh, Des, you're on notice, mate. This guy leaves a 1-star review 10 hours ago. Says he had pie, mash, lazy burger with chips. I mean, that's not a... That could be a completely genuine review. But no, he's also on notice for defamation. Not very welcoming to foreigners. You're on notice for defamation. Grotty pub with an even more vile landlord. Guess what? You're on notice for defamation. Another gorgeous pub that has been whitewashed to death and looks more like a wine bar. Best avoided if you're after a relaxing drink. Not much choice ale-wise. That could be a perfectly legitimate review, but no. You're on notice for defamation. Food overrated and overpriced. I wish I'd gone to McDonald's instead. Guess what? You're on notice for defamation. Went in last night, drinks overpriced, wasn't too busy for a Friday night, but Jesus, the staff need to start smiling more. You're on notice for defamation, sunshine. Good place for a quickie in the toilets, that's about it. Toilets smelt bad. Also, watch out, there is horses that end up kicking you. You're on notice for defamation. Awful food, avoid. You are also on notice for defamation. Middle class Weatherspoons. Response from the owner? Fake review reported. Not on notice for defamation, interestingly. Disgusting food, flat drinks, dirty toilets, lazy staff, rude owner, dead atmosphere. It's difficult to know where to start with this awful place. If you have any other options, go there. If you don't have any other options, stay at home. On notice for defamation. Also, this has been reported. My pub appears on TV and suddenly you do this fake review 30 minutes after. Horrible, horrible people. Vile. A very boring, below average pub. You are on notice for defamation. And that is honestly about the extent of it. We're talking 15 to 20 potentially fake reviews. But most are on notice for defamation. However, I did notice something when I was going through these reviews. Adam Brooks has never taken kindly to bad reviews. So let's go back and have a look at some old reviews prior to his pub appearing on television and his response. So this review was from a year ago. Expensive, kitchen rarely open, poor service and poor atmosphere. Everybody in this pub wants to be a hero. To which Adam Brooks responded, putting up fake reviews is an offence. Sad, sad people. To which the reviewer replied, after I posted this, the owner decided to make a libelous claim that my review is fake, which proves to me they don't care too much about their customers and their experience whatsoever. Good point, sir. Here's another one. This is also from a year ago. Misleading regarding how late the kitchen stays open. Closed at 7. Had to go get food at Waitrose after our pints. To which Adam responded, you didn't even visit. You just put this up as we've tweeted our Union Jack pictures everywhere. Sad. To which the reviewer edited his post to say, after writing this review, I've been accused of not even going, which is super weird. I've never had that before. Adam, what are you playing at, son? 8 months ago, this one. No atmosphere, like a Weatherspoons, but without the characters. Couldn't try the food as the kitchen was closed. Just avoid. Adam responds, let's be honest here. You've never visited the premises. This will be reported as a malicious review. You simply don't like the online presence of the owner. Really sad thing to do. What the hell's wrong with this guy? 10 months ago, dreadful place, food inedible and was ill after 1 pint of beer. Avoid. Adam responds, this is a fraudulent review and has been reported. It is a criminal offence to do this. How vile. Has there ever been a bigger snowflake owning a pub? A year ago, alright. This one perhaps is a bit of a piss take. Great place to pick up some tin foil, but less so for other purposes. Adam responds, it's very childish, with a capital C for some reason, no idea why. It's very childish to attack a business online. Says a lot about the type of person you are. And finally, a 2-star review. I visited here for a small family dinner. I didn't like the food. Both the quality and quantity was poor. I had the beef dinner, but it was more like a child's portion, as there was barely any beef. I'm used to having a good plate full of beef. The beef was nice, but I wasn't able to fill up, and I'm not fat, so I don't have the appetite of an elephant. The vegetables were bland, and the Yorkshire puddings are just cheap frozen ones, not somewhere I would eat again unless a family member was paying for it, like on this occasion. If the portion sizes of meat were increased and they served homemade Yorkshires, I would rate it 4 stars. Now, That to me is a perfectly legitimate review. There's nothing in there, for me, that would suggest that is a fake review. He's even given it 2 stars. He's not just given it 1 star and said it was a load of old bollocks. Adam responds, "What date were you booked in, please, Kevin? Because we have certainly not had any complaints on a Sunday, and this review just arrives as we highlight fake reviews on our social media. Our Yorkshires are huge and freshly made, so I'm not sure why you would describe them as frozen. Our social media pics indicate their size. Our portions are known to be very generous. So again, tell us what date you visited, as I can check our bookings and walk-in register. I'll remind you that it's against the law to leave fake reviews. Kind regards." The whole world is against you, isn't it, Adam? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's go back now to Lee Anderson's Batty World. Right, so we'll start with myself giving you some real talk of my own. Cards on the table, this will not be as interesting as previous weeks, because there are no baked beans being tasted and there is no attempted force feeding of cat food. That's the bad news. The good news is we'll be watching a short segment called Agony Anderson. Sadly, no, it is not 30p Lee being tortured. It is in fact Lee offering what he considers to be advice, whereas it is actually him chatting a load of old bollocks. We will also be hearing what Gary the cabbie has been told to be outraged by this week, and darts legend Bobby George will be picking Wokey of the week. So let's get into it.
So this show is about speaking to real people in the real world, and they don't come much realer than Gary the cabbie, who joins me most weeks now. So, Gary, thank you for coming back. Just, I think it was about a week ago.
He had a look on his face there, did Gary the cabbie, of, mate, I'm trying to drive here. Let's take one more look at that.
Now, so, Gary, thank you for coming back. Just,
What do you want?
I think it was about a week ago, we were reading in the paper reports about the RAF discriminating against white male pilots, saying that they were useless, and in the quest...
Wait a minute. Is that what was said? What? White male RAF pilots are useless. Can anyone confirm? I'm recording this very late on a Saturday night, and I can't be asked to look up whether or not it was said white male RAF pilots are useless. That strikes me as something that was not said by anybody anywhere. We'll just go with it. Go on, Lee. Carry on.
White male pilots, saying that they were useless, and in the quest of diversity. Now, I think you used to be a serviceman. You served in the army. What do you say to that, Gary? Is it nonsense?
Total nonsense. We know from history that the male white pilot isn't useless, and surely it doesn't matter colour, creed, sexuality, whatever they are. It's the best person for the job. Women, men, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. As long as they're good at the job and can do the job, that's the main thing.
Can I point out something odd? The way he said sexuality was very different to the way he said all of the other words. It was a sort of side mouth. You're probably thinking, Matt, what are you talking about? There's nothing in this. But let's just replay that.
It doesn't matter a white pilot isn't useless, and surely it doesn't matter colour, creed, sexuality, whatever they are. It's the best person for the job.
Why did he say it like that?
Surely it doesn't matter colour, creed, sexuality.
It's like he's winking. Is he giving... He's giving Lee Anderson a wink. Gary, you naughty boy.
Reality, whatever they are, it's the best person for the job. Women, men, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. As long as they're good at the job and can do the job, that's the main thing.
I suppose you've seen some challenging things, been in some difficult situations in the army, Gary. You know, does it really matter what colour somebody's skin is at the side of you?
Never in a million years. Doesn't matter.
So I would imagine it's all about comradeship, looking after your brothers and your sisters these days. But
these are the softest of softball questions you will ever hear.
But seriously, Gary, why are they doing it?
Because the same as they do it for all walks of life, all for the tick box.
The what? The tick box? Okay.
All just to tick the boxes and to make their numbers.
So how long did you serve in the army, Gary?
4 years.
4 years. Enjoy every minute?
Loved it.
Would you go back?
I'll go back tomorrow. Best time of my life.
So, Gary, I want to ask you the question again, the killer question. If you was the Prime Minister for the day, what law would you introduce or change?
What law would I change? The law I would change is to get less private hire drivers on the road. That's the law I would try.
Why is that? Does that affect your business?
Affects my business and...
Got somewhere to be, Gary?
On the road. That's the law I would try.
Why is that? Does that affect your business?
Affects my business and the...
He does. He's got somewhere to be. Lee! The man's got somewhere to be.
Main thing is that they're saying about all the environmental and we've got too much traffic in London. There's 18,000 black cab drivers and there's 105,000 private hire drivers in London.
Wow, really? I didn't realise that, mate. How does that impact your monthly take-home?
By a lot.
So I guess these private hire drivers would take issue on that, Gary. What would you say to them?
Well, there's not a problem. Everyone's entitled to earn a living, but they've got to start capping them. There's too many, so they can't be earning a living either because there's too many of them.
Okay. So I guess you might be a little bit busier now Wimbledon started. I know the city's certainly busy, the hotels, etc. Did you see those idiots this week who went onto the Wimbledon court in... I think they were just stop oil protesters, just being nuisances again. Did you see that?
I did. I saw it yesterday, yeah.
And what would your solution be to that, Gary?
Don't give them the airtime.
So you think we should just blank them off straight away?
Blank them out. Look, I've got no problem with... We need to sort the environment out. We all know that.
Yeah.
But they're interfering with the normal everyday person. So as soon as they do something, don't air it. Cancel it and block it out.
Have you actually been caught up yet in any of this nonsense?
When they was doing the all in London, virtually every day, and I had a bad experience where I was taking an Indian family to the airport and they stopped us on the Cromwell Road and the poor people, Indian family, were going out to their family funeral. And obviously, we just missed the flight because there was no way we could go.
That's shocking. They should hang their heads in shame.
I don't believe that story. Nah, it can't be true. If I'm stuck here on the Cromwell Road and I've got South Kensington there, I've got Earl's Court there, I'm not going to miss my flight just by sitting on my arse waiting in heavy traffic. There is no chance. Driver, I'll take my chances. I'm going to South Ken. I'm going to Earl's Court. I'll get the Piccadilly line out to Heathrow. Done. I bet Gary just sat there, didn't he? I bet he didn't try a detour or anything. I bet he just sat right there in heavy traffic, watching his meter tick up.
Poor family couldn't get through to say bye-bye to their family.
I mean, we've strengthened the laws recently on public order, and we've seen, some of the police actually in London are taking a more robust approach at removing them a lot quicker. I don't think they're getting much sympathy from the public, do you?
No, I think it's going the opposite way. I think people are now getting fed up with them.
Anyway, Gary the cabbie, speaking sense, as usual. Great to get out there in the real world and speak to real people. And as a cabbie, Gary must speak to literally hundreds of people every single week. So he's got his finger on the pulse of the nation, if you like. So join me again next week. Hopefully, Gary the cabbie will join us again for some more common sense.
I really don't want to make it a regular feature of picking on Gary the cabbie, because he is just another pawn in Lee Anderson's sad game. However, I'm going to persist with him until he challenges Lee Anderson on something. And then, of course, after that occurs, Lee Anderson will get himself a new cab driver. He'll say Gary the cabbie is too woke, or something along those lines. Moving on. Right, so we're going to skip the first portion of Lee Anderson interviewing Bobby George. We're about halfway through here, and the subject is going to become poverty, because Lee Anderson wants to remind us all how grateful we should be for not being even poorer than we are.
When you haven't got nothing.
Let's go back a little bit earlier, Bobby. Let's go back to when you was growing up as a child, you know, in London. Bit of poverty.
Yeah, my mum died when I was 3. CB, because it was life after the war. CB, dead CB. And my dad was blind. So you can imagine the poverty. The people say, "Where do you live?" I say, "The Skip." Basically, with wall lights, the Skip with wall lights. We didn't have nothing. You know, it's.
That must have been tough for you.
When I started growing up, say probably 7 or 8, we used to go to the army surplus and get all our gear from the army surplus, because after the war, there's so much gear to get rid of. Buy a pair of boots for like 2p or something, where it is, and put the Blakies on. My dad used to say, "Put these things on." You're marching for miles away. But I remember I went to school. I got this nice jacket. I thought I'd have it. It's all like, you know, stripes on it. I got it. I went to school. It was a Japanese general's coat, and everyone, when I got in the gate, self-saluted me. I just thought that to make the conversation more interesting.
I mean, some of these, stories like that remind me of some of the stories my dad tells me about. Just after the war, they were so poor.
Yeah.
My dad didn't see a banana till he was like 9 years old or something like in the 50s. Because stuff was still on rations.
Yeah, ration books.
Yeah.
I remember the ration books. And you get broken biscuits and all that game, didn't you?
Yeah.
You didn't have the goodies, but they forget that now. They have these food banks now, you know.
Okay.
And they go in there and they're like 18 stone when they go in there. Yeah. And they're nearly 20 stone when they come out, and they say they've got nothing to eat. So they don't know poverty, not like...
I guess in the 50s...
You're helped today.
Yeah.
Especially if they're blind, you don't get no help.
What was school?
Oh, how sick is this? I don't really need to say anything. The context is there for all to see. It's gross, it's unpleasant, it's obvious what they're trying to do. They do the same thing every week. The constant demonising of the poor. The latest technique, or Lee Anderson's technique anyway, appears to be pitting current UK poverty against other forms of poverty, be it in other countries or be it from other eras in the United Kingdom, in an attempt to make the casual viewer feel gratitude for what little they have, because at least it's little but something. It's so sick. I know I take the piss during this programme, but this I really just cannot stomach. Anyway, let's get back to the important stuff, shall we?
But we're going to move on now to Wokey of the Week. This is where we pick 3 individuals or 3 organisations that have done something terribly woke in the week. And Bobby, the legend, the king of bling, is going to help me select the Wokey of the week. We've got the first one is Just Stop Oil, Bobby. They've been on one of the courts at Wimbledon, wafting their paint about and just being nuisances. What do you think to them?
They're definitely a Wonky.
A Wonky?
Of the week.
Yeah, they're really irritating.
For goodness sake, will somebody explain to Bobby what the hell is going on? I know it's difficult to understand, because none of this makes any sense, but he's calling them a Wonky. What's that?
That's just
nuisances, aren't they?
I mean, is it going to stop? Look, we know oil, I mean, all the pollution, but we everything is oil. So you're not going to stop it overnight. They could do it gently.
So the next one we've got, Bob, is Transport for London, and it's they banned a West End poster which features Tony and Tana's wedding cake because it's unhealthy.
This is actually true. Tony and Tina, by the way. I don't know why he called it Tony and Tana, unless that's how it's pronounced. It can't be. It's Tony and Tina, isn't it? Anyway, it's a theatrical production in London, and Transport for London have a fairly strict advertising policy when it comes to unhealthy food. And I think it's quite stupid, to be honest. But I'm going to surprise you here. That's not actually a bad shout. Of course it's not woke. I mean, in the context of what this drivel is, I think it's a little petty and unnecessary because the production company went to great expense to have these posters produced, and it's so innocuous. I think they're just dancing on top of a wedding cake. In the context of this drivel, that's not a bad nominee. Don't shoot me, please.
A poster with an unhealthy wedding cake. Now, I've never heard of a healthy wedding cake. Have you?
I've never
What was your wedding cake
I've
like?
never tried one.
Never tried one?
No, I was drunk before I got to that stage. A wedding cake on the wall.
A wedding cake on a poster is
No,
considered
well,
unhealthy. So
who banned it?
Well, this is Khan again. This is Mr. Khan.
Did he put his name to it?
Well, I don't know. And
Stupid, that is.
And the final Wokey of the week is James O'Brien of LBC Radio. Now, he's been selected once again. James O'Brien is one of the Wokies of the week for being James O'Brien.
Oh, for the love of God. Let it go, Lee. So, James O'Brien here, in with a good shout of regaining his crown. He lost it last week to, I can't even bloody remember. Who was it last week? Who even helped pick Wokey? Oh my God. Life is a blur. I can't remember. Oh well. James O'Brien, though, in with another shout.
He dedicates too much of his life having a pop at me on one of his silly monologues on LBC. Some of my colleagues, so I don't know whether you tune into him, is irritating little man.
What's a wonky? Always a wonky, isn't it?
Well, wonky or Wokey. So come on then, Bobby. Is it the Just Stop Oil? Is it the TFL? Or is it James O'Brien?
Well, the second one, stopping a post, I mean, that's
My
Mickey.
wedding cake?
It's Mickey Mouse in it.
Shall we
put big ears on that?
Shall we do that one then? Transport for London. Right then, Transport for London.
I'm not sure Bobby was going to go with that one. He called it Mickey Mouse. I have a feeling he was going to go with Just Stop Oil, but Lee's preempted him. Got to stop dominating your guests like this, Lee. That's a darting legend we have on our hands here. And you're a legend of nothing.
London, if you're looking. Bobby, you show that to that camera there.
Yeah,
You are?
the champions.
Wokey of the week.
The Wokey of the week. What a lovely saying.
Thanks, Bobby.
Cheers, mate. Oh, Wokey of the week. Oh, dear. Who thought of that? Who thought of the Wokey? After you said of the week. Because it's easy, isn't it, to say that.
What a sad state of affairs when somebody is so amused by such a simple expression. Wokey of the week. Bobby George was nearly on the floor. He needed the bar to prop him up. He was so amused by it. And last but not least for this week, we are going to take in Agony Anderson.
Welcome back. It's time for Agony Anderson, and my mailbag this week, Adam, is bulging with people's problems. We've got a couple of questions in today. I think you're going to read the first one out. I'll answer that, and then vice versa.
Right, this is from Jenny. I have written to multiple MPs and have asked numerous questions, and I'm yet to have a single response that even remotely answers my question. Some MPs ignore my emails. Others deflect my questions. And on some occasions, MPs make up parliamentary protocol in order to avoid my question.
Why are you writing to so many MPs? I mean, you can, but don't expect a response from anybody who isn't your MP. Sorry, I'm doing Lee Anderson's job for him, but this person sounds like a complete nutter. And you can just tell the question is, like, what is a woman, or something like that. Dear every MP, what is a woman?
What I would like to know from your good and common sense driven self is why it is so difficult for the everyday person to get an answer from MPs.
Good question. Well, there is such a thing as parliamentary protocol, which is when people write in, for them to get an answer, they should be from your constituency. As an MP, I am paid to represent the people that live in my constituency. So if somebody from outside the constituency gets in touch, then they will be told to go and contact their own MP. Look, there's no excuse for MPs not responding to constituents. But what I would say to Jenny is that if you're struggling to get an answer, go and knock on that MP's door and demand an answer. It's as simple as that.
Their office door, obviously,
their office
not their
door,
house door.
not the house door.
No.
They're a public servant. Go and plonk yourself in on a Friday or Saturday, whenever the surgery is, and demand some answers. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Okay. So, Adam, there's a question here. This one's coming from Paul in Shropshire. He says, Lee, I've got a wolf. strange man, a rabbit and a cabbage to take across a river. My boat can only carry me plus one other passenger at a time. How do I get all three of my cargo items across the river without any of them being bitten or eaten by any of them? I'd appreciate a common sense solution.
A common sense solution would be to go and buy a dinghy, get in it, go to France and claim asylum, Lee. Does that answer your question?
Adam Brooks, this is part of the reason why your pub is getting fake reviews. Was that whole segment set up so they could make a migrant dinghy joke? Soul-destroying, depressing way to end. But that's the sort of chap Adam Brooks is anyway. That's what passes for humour in a pub run by Adam Brooks. Thanks for watching, folks. A long one this week, I know. I don't expect anyone to have made it this far, but there we are. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you again very soon.